Well, he can tell you what he wants done, and he can tell you certain things, but that doesn't mean you have to do it. And what we used to do was always agree with the president, and then we do what we thought was best anyway. Well, he can tell you what he wants done, and he can tell you certain things, but that doesn't mean you have to do it. And what we used to do was always agree with the president, and then we do what we thought was best anyway. Well, he can tell you what he wants done, and he can tell you certain things, but that doesn't mean you have to do it. And what we used to do was always agree with the president, and then we do what we thought was best anyway. Well, he can tell you what he wants done, and he can tell you certain things, but that doesn't mean you have to do it. And what we used to do was always agree with the president, and then we do what we thought was best anyway. Well, he can tell you what he wants done, and he can tell you certain things, but that doesn't mean you have to do it. And what we used to do was always agree with the president, and then we do what we thought was best anyway. Well, he can tell you what he wants done, and he can tell you certain things, but that doesn't mean you have to do it. And what we used to do was always agree with the president, and then we do what we thought was best anyway.
That's the important stuff.
Yes, I think so. He had me as a person he talked to, and I never talked with him. He had Floyd Boring as a person he talked to, and Floyd didn't talk to him. So, you know, I don't know where a lot of the information came from, but he had a lot of references on it. But I thought the book was right on the mark. He knew about the stop in Tampa and the president's request, and
But you never sat with him.
no, no, I don't know how he got a hold of that. And Floyd, he gave me a very full report for the book, and Floyd said he didn't talk with him. He doesn't know where the information came from. Yes, I think so. He had me as a person he talked to, and I never talked with him. He had Floyd Boring as a person he talked to, and Floyd didn't talk to him. So, you know, I don't know where a lot of the information came from, but he had a lot of references on it. But I thought the book was right on the mark. He knew about the stop in Tampa and the president's request, and
But you never sat with him.
no, no, I don't know how he got a hold of that. And Floyd, he gave me a very full report for the book, and Floyd said he didn't talk with him. He doesn't know where the information came from.
Blaine is partly correct. Floyd Boring did not. He was not interviewed by William Manchester, as the source notes reveal, and Floyd Boring was adamant to me he was never interviewed by Manchester, and Floyd Boring adamantly denied what was attributed to him in the book was even true. Floyd Boring said that was not true. President Kennedy never ordered the agents off the car. That whole Ivy League charlatans comment was bullshit. And what other bullshit is Gerald Blaine was interviewed for this book. He's lying now. Gerald S. Blaine was interviewed. He admitted to me in 2005 he was interviewed for the book. I wonder why he's denying it now. Could it be because he is the originator of the JFK ordered us off the back of the car Ivy League charlatans bullshit? Could be.
Two crucial decisions are made that affect the president's security.
It had been raining in Texas, and they chose to remove the bubble from the president's car. Previous to that, they had the bubble on the car, but it was a very bright, sunny day.
In all due respect to the Newmans, good people who believe shots came from the front, directly behind them on the grassy knoll. The they Bill Newman is referring to, they were the Secret Service. This was a Secret Service decision, as Agent Sam Kinney told me.
The president is also keen to give the crowds the best view possible, so asks the Secret Service agents not to stand on the back of the car.
Basically, he didn't want to look like he was overprotected. So we had a shortage of agents, and then he emphasized that he didn't want agents on the back of the car.
This is total bull. Gerald Blaine spotting this total mythology, this total false crap. There's no other way to put it. Not only did Gerald Blaine told me twice in 2004 and 2005 that President Kennedy never interfered with their actions at all, many of his colleagues, including several way above him in rank, the number 1 agent, Gerald Blaine, the number 2 agent, Floyd Boring, one of the 3 shift leaders, Art Godfrey, dozens of others, and several important White House aides, including Dave Powers, all told me that President Kennedy did not order the agents off the back of the car. Dave Powers, arguably JFK's best friend since 1946, wrote to me in a letter saying that the president never had to order the agents off the car. The list goes on and on. See my first book, Survivor's Guilt, and also see my third book, The Not So Secret Service. It's a shame that Gerald Blaine is still spreading these lies.
I think I'm going to have them right on the back end of the president's car because we just don't have the manpower to do anything else but that. All of a sudden I hear over the radio the president wants the Ivy League charlatans to fall back to the follow-up car.
Gerald Blaine told Vince Palomera that he heard this remark from the guys, not over his radio. He told Vince Palomera that President Kennedy never interfered with their actions at all. Floyd Boring, the agent you see in the passenger seat of the limousine next to the driver Bill Greer, that's Floyd Boring, he was assistant special agent in charge. He told Vince Palomera that this was not true. JFK was a very nice man, never interfered with their actions at all. He never ordered them off the back of the car. I specifically asked him about the Ivy League charlatans remark. It's in William Manchester's book. Floyd Boring adamantly denied this to me twice. He also sent me a letter saying that President Kennedy was very cooperative. The same thing he told the JFK library in 1976. Don Lawton, the agent you're seeing about to get on the back of the car there, told me that who knows, you can hindsight yourself to death. If they would have left guys in the back of the car, Special Agent in Charge Jerry Bain and a slew of other agents told me that President Kennedy never ordered the agents off the back of the car. Gerald Blaine, author of the Kennedy Detail, told me the same thing until he realized, uh-oh, we got to cover our behinds.
And he politely told everybody, we're starting the campaign now, and the people are my asset. Said I couldn't get elected dog catcher.
Blaine took that from Floyd Boring's JFK Library oral history in a different context that was not related to the agents being on the back of the car, which is totally untrue. See the gentleman next to JFK there? That is Congressman Sam Gibbons. He told me the agents were on the back of the car the entire time. He heard no presidential order to remove the agents from the back of the car. President Kennedy had back braces and a very bad back. He couldn't have turned around to see the agents. He wouldn't have cared one way or the other. And the agents were actually back far enough, they weren't an issue anyway.
If I didn't get out and greet the public, we all of a sudden understood, but it left a firm command to stay off the back of the car.
That left a firm command to stay off the back of the car? Bull. Again, Gerald Blaine in 2004 told me that President Kennedy never interfered with their actions. In 2005, when I told him, where did the Ivy League charlatans comment come from? He said, it came from the guys. I can't remember who told me. I can't remember. Now he's saying he heard loud and clear over his walkie-talkie. Yet Floyd Boring told me it's not true. Gerald Blaine was interviewed by William Manchester, something he is now denying. I feel strongly that Gerald Blaine is the source. It's in Manchester's book of this Ivy League charlatans mythology. President Kennedy never ordered the agents off the back of the car.
It was a lot of long days. Jerry and I talked about this a lot because I read something or read reports And I say, Jerry, this contradicts what you're telling me or what Clint is telling me. And I came to realize that these were the guys that were there. And their memories are so vivid and so clear. And as I would talk to other agents, they would corroborate the stories. And I realized that this is the truth. And the other people that are writing these other reports and all these researchers that have studied this endlessly, they weren't there. And, you know, so you can take some of what is written, but what I believe is what these men have told me to be true.
And their families waiting for the first couple that afternoon. There was the presidential limousine that 24 hours later would become a hearse.
This is the car in which President John F. Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas on November 22nd, 1963. It's important to preserve this presidential limousine because history happened in this back seat. This limo was equipped with two different removable tops. One was a solid black steel, and the other was transparent plastic. And these different roofs were put together in separate sections, so you could put them on the car if you needed to protect the president from inclement weather.
The SS-100X always had a Secret Service driver and then a Secret Service agent in the passenger seat in the front seat. The car itself had handholds on the trunk for the agents like myself to grab onto, to hold onto if we were on the rear of the car, and platforms built into the side of the car and the rear of the car, so that we could stand there in parade situations if necessary. There's always been some allegations about why the agents weren't up on the rear of the car in Dallas. Well, that was simply because the president didn't want them there. And so when we got to Texas, when it was not really necessary, we stayed off the back of the car.
Agent Clint Hill, with all due respect, is fibbing. That's a lie. Those two prior films they showed earlier in that clip prove it right there. The first clip that was greatly slowed down was from Bogota, Colombia. That's agents Bob Lilly and Roy Kellerman riding on the back of the car. Bob Lilly told me that President Kennedy never ordered the agents off the car ever, and that motorcade was reaching speeds of over 50 miles an hour at some points. The bubble top was on the whole time. It was a bright, sunshiny day, no rain. The other clip they did permit to run at normal speed, you could see how fast they were going, also had the bubble top, also no rain. See Chapter 1 of my book, Survivor's Guilt, the Secret Service and the Failure to Protect the President. Protect President Kennedy, I should say. The bottom line is, Clint Hill's fibbing, his shifty eyes and his nervous demeanor say it all. Allegations, those allegations came from me. Thank you. These are photographs of motorcades, President Kennedy, 1961 through 1963. Former Secret Service agent Gerald Blaine, the author of the Kennedy Detail, would have you believe that the agents obscured the view of President Kennedy. This is total bunk, total bull. Here are the agents on the back of the car, June 1963. Here's Kennedy. Again, here's the agents, here's Kennedy. Look at all this room here. Look at all the people cheering on Kennedy. Are these agents obscuring the view of President Kennedy? I mean, you can't see him because the agent's on the back of the car? Totally ridiculous, totally fraudulent. The agent should have been there. This agent, Sam Sullivan, told me President Kennedy did not order the agents off the back of the car. Special Agent in Charge Gerald Bain, B-E-H-N, said, I don't remember Kennedy ever saying anything about having agents on the car. But he said that Kennedy never ordered them off the car. I don't remember Kennedy ever saying anything about not having agents on the car. If you see the newsreels, you'll see agents on there. This is 4 days before Dallas. Tampa. Again, two agents on the back of the car. Don Lawton and Charles Zaboral. There's Kennedy. Look at the room. Look at all the people looking at Kennedy. Look at Kennedy looking at him smiling. Floyd Boring told me that President Kennedy was a very nice man, never interfered with their actions at all. Totally denied the story in William Manchester's book, Death of a President, about that Ivy League charlatans comment attributed to Boring. Boring said that was not true. He was not interviewed by William Manchester, which is also confirmed by William Manchester's notes. Lo and behold, who was interviewed by William Manchester? Gerald Blaine. I strongly suspect Gerald Blaine was the author of that fraudulent story about Ivy League charlatans. Gerald Blaine is now denying he was interviewed by Gerald Blaine, but Gerald Blaine was interviewed by William Manchester. Sorry about that. Gerald Blaine was interviewed by William Manchester. Manchester's source notes confirm that. But again, the central point is, look, here's the agents, here's Kennedy. Here's the agents, here's Kennedy. Nobody's obscuring anybody. Again, here are the agents on the back of the car. There's even the bubble top, nice motorcycle. No one's being obscured by the agent's presence on the back of the car. Again, Bob Lilly told me the agents were often on the back of the car at very fast speeds. In fact, this article goes into detail about that. The procession moved too fast. It says BS about supposedly, they wouldn't have been on the car if the car was going fast, like entering the freeway. They reached speeds of 50 plus miles an hour. Again, bubble top. These are all different stops. There's Rory Kellerman, ironically, on the back of the car. But again, the distance between Kennedy. Do not believe Gerald Blaine. People could see Kennedy just fine with the agents on the back of the car.